Hello everyone, welcome back to Real-Time Talk with Quentin Anderson and Eagle 3D Streaming. Today we have Juliet Brown with us. Juliet's background is as a documentary filmmaker. She graduated in documentary direction from the National Film and Television School in 2011, and her work has documented people working through trauma in cases of genocide, ecocide, and gender dysphoria. Over the past 10 years, she has taught practice-based documentary courses at the UK's National Film and Television School and UCL. The Unreal Project is her first interactive documentary project. The Unreal piece, Take Me Home, presented on Eagle 3D's pixel streaming platform, is a prototype for an interactive documentary which is part of Juliet's PhD by film practice.
Something that's really struck me is user testing and play testing. It's not something we do in documentary particularly. I mean, we have some screenings along the way, but we don't really value the user as much as, say, the gaming industry, I think, relies heavily on user testing before releasing their products. So I think giving the power more to the user and giving more autonomy to the user in terms of the design process, I think is a really interesting space in terms of mental health as well.
How does mental health play into the PhD work you're doing in your interests?
I started doing my own psychotherapy. All my family gets sent away to boarding schools. And I got sent back to a boarding school at age 13. I'd grown up in Singapore. But in my own therapy sessions, this kind of bubbled to the surface as a theme, because I wasn't sure where home was. I was moving a lot between America and the UK, which is why I went to therapy to sort of talk to a professional about the concept of home. This project really is about UK boarding schools in particular. So I thought probably with mental health, it's often best to start in your own patch and your own area from your own subjective perspective, because it's anthropology, the department I'm in, has not a great legacy of sort of othering and of a kind of colonial legacy. So I thought, well, we better turn the camera on ourselves, and that's sort of the starting point for how I linked it to my own story. And why we've arrived at Eagle 3D is because how can we make playtesting accessible for older players via the web? Because they don't have VR. VR's not appropriate for them. Trying to make this experience accessible to more people who don't have high tech at home. We're trying to find out if it's helpful for different memory retrieval. That's one of our research questions, is if moving physically through the space helps retrieve body-based memories rather than perhaps more aesthetic memories, or there's something about the movement is what we're interested in terms of the gaming kind of the affordance of being able to move through a 3D space.
Are you currently wrestling with it, just for the environment for now, how realistic to make it? Because it seems like the more realistic may help trigger memories, but we don't want it to perhaps trigger it in a way that could be traumatic. So how are you kind of wrestling with that right now?
Yeah, so that's exactly why we've ended up pixel streaming, because I chose never to show this in VR to someone who identifies as a boarding school survivor, because of the I think, is it called the limbic nerve, which makes you feel as though you're back in the space in terms of the sense of presence. I didn't feel like it would be helpful to put people literally back into the space, as in an exposure therapy type way. It would not be ethical, which is why we are doing it via pixel streaming, to give people that distance.
Right, a layer of separation. Thanks for dropping by, Juliet. I'm Quentin Anderson. This has been Real-Time Talk with Eagle 3D Streaming. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you all on the next show.